And so there was part of me that was really hoping this would not be the case, that here would be somebody who's not defiant. And again, I mean, he's accused, he's arrested. You know, I don't want to convict him before it's time to do so. He's the guy authorities say is involved. But that being said, I mean, we know, even in recent history, you have the Hitari militia from Michigan who had plans to, let's face it, create terror. That's what they were planning to do. And they were doing so from far different backgrounds than what this guy is coming from. So the threat is not just coming from people who decide that America is the place to be, you know, and come here and want to become citizens. And obviously this guy did.
So that's your chronological rundown on the Times Square time bomb. There at the end, we heard an MSNBC talking head on the Stephanie Miller show basically saying, gosh, I was so bummed that these weren't Tea Party people, you know, like the Hootery, like the militias, like the homegrown terror. That again, we note when Democrats are in power, it seems as though the terror comes from McVeigh's, but when the phony conservatives are in power, the terror comes from those brown people somewhere. So this event, highly suspicious. Again, anytime stories like these in the 24/7 corporate-controlled media and the paranoia, the threataganda, if you will, the more attention it gets, you wonder if they doth protest too much. So we've got a massive list of updates on this posting that we're going to start from the 4th and go up until last night and up until now, May 7th, 2010. And we're just going to run down these headlines. We're going to sort of read these into the record, if you will. From Paul Joseph Watson, Feds call bomb potential terrorist attack, as we did here, even though we originally heard Napolitano said, oh, well, this is probably just a one-off. More on that from Raw Story and Raw Replay. Car bomb in Times Square started to detonate, would have caused sizable deaths, so says the Washington Post. Times Square bomb's ordinary ingredients posed a deadly threat. However, Of Goats and Men, notes from one of the witnesses said that this amateur car bomb was, quote, screaming, "Look at me!" Not what you would expect. Bomber got the wrong fertilizer. More on that from ABC. Pakistani Taliban claims Times Square bomb. Says revenge for death of group's leader, Batullah Masood. More on that from Huffington Post. More from nationalterroralert.com. Pakistani Taliban claim credit for Times Square car bomb, and we're going to get into this. Then, of course, they had the CCTV footage, which, of course, this guy in the video looked suspicious. Furtive, if you will. Person of interest near the bomb scene. Now, we heard them say that in that clip, and to my knowledge, person of interest really now has been around for almost 10 years. The first time I ever heard it was when they were doing the anthrax put-up, and Stephen Hatfield was a person of interest. Ever since then, person of interest has kind of entered the nomenclature, and again, we're ultimately all persons of interest. As we'll see throughout this episode, a lot of things that they say is for those other people is really for everybody. It's for you and it's for me. The claim of responsibility and the person of interest. I was going to say, Hatfield was innocent. So when they start using person of interest, I think, well, this seems suspicious. Taliban claim unverified responsibility. Times Square car bomb prelude to something larger. More on that from conspiringtimes.com. Bomb hoax. Israeli intel group shows its hand. More from Gordon Duff, writing for veteranstoday.com. One of the videos of the Pakistani Taliban claiming responsibility for this comes from Site Intelligence, always putting out these fake-looking terror videos, and of course, set up by the child of a Mossad officer. Another intel front, we're sure. For more on that, Paul Joseph Watson has Pentagon front group releases video claiming Taliban behind NYC car bomb attack. Al-Qaeda terror tape proven fraudulent once again. USA Today asking the important questions, though, on the New York bomb scare. Will it affect your plans to visit the Big Apple this summer? Right on time. We keep using that more and more. Right on time, right on schedule, right when our misleaders need an event that they can rally around and exploit, and whether they've let it happen on purpose or made it happen on purpose, the result is the same, right on time. Now New York City's planning to deploy more cameras, says media mogul Mayor Bloomberg. Supposedly, Times Online reporting police were searching for a second man, and police not ruling out, at least at the time of this first update to the Times Square time bomb, won't rule out a South Park link in the bomb attempt. The SUV, I believe, was outside Viacom. Viacom owns Comedy Central. Comedy Central runs South Park, which ran the controversial, yet censored when they ran it, episode about Muhammad. A lot of South Park memes popping up. A lot of Simpsons memes popping up. A lot of predictive programming popping up. And that's ultimately, I think, what we look at in the data mining news purge that we do here for you on Media Monarchy. So the next day, May 5th, Pakistani Faisal Shahzad arrested in Times Square bomb plot. Investigators traced terror suspect through his disposable cell phone. Danger Room goes into how to not build a car bomb, the Times Square edition. NYC's terror spotting spy cams stuck in traffic. But from bioprepwatch.com and the New York Times and the AFP, security network in the cards for Midtown Manhattan. Security network planned for Midtown. Or the Magic 8-Ball cop cameras. You know, the Magic 8-Balls that hang up everywhere. They're going to flood Manhattan looking for suspicious behavior. And again, when you put all these stoolies on the payroll to look for terror, as we noted in the previous B-side episode, people ratting out their friends and associates for a little filthy lucre from the IRS. When you put people on the mission to look for terror, or to look for people not recycling correctly, as Alexandria adds tracking chips to their recycling bins, when you put people on a job to find terror, they're going to find what they think is terror. And you'll be a person of interest.